It's time to lock in. We're talking SEC, college football, and more. This is AP as we see it.
I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I'm all about that action. I said I'm all about that action.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham from LA, Lower Alabama. This is AP As We See It, a weekly syndicated 1-hour show discussing the Southeastern Conference, college football, and other sports. When I say other sports in the month of April, that's March Madness on the men's and the women's side. And the SEC has excelled, especially on the men's side. It's a historical year for them with the 14 teams making the NCAA tournament, 7 the Sweet 16. And we have 2 teams, Auburn and Florida, make the Final Four. And we're coming to you live from San Antonio, Texas, side of the NCAA Final Four Men's Division I Championship. Welcome to AP As We See It, and we're going to have a great show. We have some other topics besides the March Madness. But first, we want to get everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel, AP As We See It. That is AP As We See It on our YouTube channel. We've been broadcasting via video since last August, and we're having a lot of fun being on air. Really enjoy it. You can check us on Spotify as well. Every episode is archived. We're on the Facebook, the Instagram, and the X account at AP Stedham and then at AP As We See It. And you can check out all our interviews this week on the AP As We See It YouTube channel and maybe some on AP As We See It as well. Probably AP As We See It will have most of the interviews from the Final Four, the men's Final Four in San Antonio, Texas. We'd like to also mention our sponsors, Greer's Markets, 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi. We start off with Lucy's Recipes. She has a book out. You can purchase that at the store, or you can buy it on Amazon as well. And remember, they have the coloring contest for the children each month. They'll enjoy that as well. And then we have the groceries to go. They will deliver those groceries to you. Remember, it's family, friends, and football, but right now it's family, friends, and March Madness basketball. You could have it delivered to your home, to your office, to any venue you choose, and also to bring it out to your vehicle, I believe, if you can set that up as well. And when you're shopping at Greer's, they have so many delicious items, the snacks, the seafood, the meats, the vegetables, the fresh produce. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. And we'd also like to thank the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta. Every time I'm there, you can see the nice pool. It has the vegetation around. It seems like you're outdoors, but it's a beautiful indoor pool. They have spacious rooms, walk-in showers. They have the hospitality is second to none. And also the tremendous breakfast. I have buffet breakfast every morning. The staff greets me. They know what I like, and they'll deliver that to my table before I even sit down. They can see me getting ready to walk over to that table, and next thing you know, the chocolate milk is there. But the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta, Georgia, check them out. I've stayed there many, many times, and I love it because of the hospitality, the location. It's next to all the attractions right in the heart of Atlanta. So check out Greer's Markets and also the Cortland Grand Hotel of Atlanta. Those are a couple of our sponsors. So now we're going to get down to the March Madness here in San Antonio. Auburn will play Florida. And we know that it's exciting for the SEC, how they have 2 teams that made it to the Final Four. They're both playing each other. So there's going to be a SEC team in the championship game. I'm not sure if I'm happy with that, but I guess it's a guarantee. I guess the only thing would be more happy if there was a third team on the other side that had a chance to win. So you could have 2 teams in the SEC playing for the championship. But we just want to go over a few of the stats for Auburn right now. The Auburn averages 82 points a game. Their opponent's 73, so that's about a 9-point differential on the points per game. The field goal percentage for Auburn, healthy 46%, the opponent 42. The free throw shooting, critical, we always mention that, free throw shooting. And by the way, we always preface the remarks, basketball, ball in the basket. As you can see from last week's, when Tennessee was playing, they couldn't put the ball in the basket. Houston put the clamps on them. They had to go home early. The folks in Knoxville were mighty disappointed. Rick Barnes has been there many times to that regional 8 final, and he couldn't get them. The coach can do many, many things. Could scheme to get you the ball, could help you in that situation, design the defense where you can create some turnovers. But the players, and especially the star players, they have to put the ball in the basket, and they can do it. But anyway, let's continue with Auburn. The free throw shooting 74%, 73% for the opponents. 3-point shooting is 37% for Auburn, 28. They play good defense for the opponent. Rebounding 35 and 35, so there's not much of a differential in the rebounding for Auburn and their opponents. The turnovers, about 9 a game for Auburn, 12 for the opponent, so that's a +3. That's a +3 for Auburn on the turnover department. And if you have 10 turnovers or less, I think that's a great figure, because when you're playing high-speed, fast-paced basketball, that's Bruce Pearl's style at Auburn, you're gonna have some turnovers. You're gonna create some, but you're gonna have some yourself. So I think that's a good number for them. Some of the other stats, John A. Broome, 18 points a game, nearly 19, 9 rebounds, really 10, it's 9.9 rebounds per game. Chad Baker Mazara at 13 points per game. Miles Kelly around 13 points per game. Tahad Pettiford is about 12 points a game. Denver Jones 10. Chaney Johnson 9. And then I love this Dylan Cardwell. Okay, he is a big man, strong, but he is very active. He's always tipping the ball, creating rebound opportunities, not only for himself, but other teammates. As he tips the ball so they can run it down. But I like him. He has the 5.5 rebounds per game, and he's critical for them in the middle, playing defense, being physical with the big people on the other side. So I like Dylan Cardwell. I really like the way he plays basketball, and he's a big plus for Auburn Tigers. But Auburn's going to be playing Florida. Auburn's 32-5, 15-3. When they played up at Auburn this past year in February, Florida came to town and beat them 90-81. 90-81, the Florida Gators, who before the tournament started, I said they probably had the best team, most versatility, inside out, fast or slow, they can beat you. So let's look at some Auburn statistics some Florida statistics right now. 34-4, 14-4 in the conference. Florida averages 85 points a game. They have a +15 in that department. The opponents only average 69. Field goal percentage, 47, 40 for the opponent. 3-point field goals, 35, 29 for the opponent. 72% on the free throws, 71% for the opponent. The rebounding, they have a big edge. They're tall and they're active. 41 rebounds, 33 for the opponent. 8, that's a +8 in the rebounding department. The turnovers, just nearly 11, and the opponent's about 11. So there's not much differential there. They have Walter Clayton Jr., the transfer from Iona. He's from the state of Florida, played for Rick Pitino at Iona. He averages 18 points a game. He's been Mr. Clutch. He's probably the best guard in the tournament, maybe the best guard in America, All-American. Martin averages 14.5 points a game. Ricard averages 13. Congdon, 10 points a game, plus the 7 rebounds, almost 8 rebounds a game. And then Howe averages 9.8 points per game. So 2 very good teams, 2 great coaches. We know Todd Golden, he's a protege of Bruce Pearl, and they play similar styles. But this is Bruce Pearl's second Final Four, 2019. Todd Golden, this is his first as a head coach. So it should be a good ball game, 2 SEC teams. These number 1 seeds are in the men's Final Four. It's chalk, as they say, and any one of these can win the Final Four. Houston, Duke, Auburn, Florida. It's going to be really competitive. I'm hoping the games are close. We don't want to see any blowouts at all in the men's Final Four. And it's in San Antonio, Texas. It's the first time I've been to San Antonio. I'm looking forward to going down there to the Riverwalk and the Alamo Dome, big arena, big stage. Does that give someone an advantage who's played in that type of arena? Maybe, because we know that shooting the basketball, ball in the basket, we always say, when you're in an arena of that size, sometimes you can get lost when you're trying to focus on the rim, and it could be a quick moment. Your eyes lose sight, and just that experience of playing in a big arena could be an advantage late in the ball game, early in the ball game, make a few shots to start the game. But as we always say, critical in these games, make your free throws. They all count, especially at the end. Get to the last 3 minutes. Can the coach call the right play, scheme the right defense? Do your stars come through? Do they score baskets? Do they draw fouls to be placed in a situation where they're on the free throw line? Can you have 0 turnovers? Can you make the critical pass? Can you defend the star player of the other team? Those are all things that must be accomplished if you're trying to win a national championship in basketball. It's a great game. And like I said, first time since 2008, since they've had chalk, all number 1 seeds. So I'm looking forward to an outstanding tournament. Glad there's 2 SEC teams. Wish there was more. But anyway, we're going to be right back after these messages with our guest, Adam Segura from NJ.com, Zags Blogs, with he's a basketball aficionado. We'll be right back after these messages with Adam Segura.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
And we're back with AP as we see it, and we have a very special guest live here in San Antonio, Texas, side of the Final Four for the Men's Division I. All 4 number 1 seeds made it through the first time since, I think, 2008. Our special guest, Adam Segura of NJ.com and Zags Blog. He's a basketball aficionado extraordinaire. Hey, Adam, welcome to AP as we see it.
Hey, thanks for having me, AP. It's good to be here. I just landed in San Antonio today. I'm getting a little poolside action here with this palm tree.
I'm going to say, can I trade places? You have the TV in the hotel room. I'll be at the palm trees. What do you say?
Maybe we can work out a little switch. You can come hang out at the pool one day.
Swap you a jaybird for a turkey. I hear you now.
Yeah.
But Adam, I just wanted to get your initial impressions when you saw that the 4 number 1s made it. And did you have any strong feelings with this Final Four?
Yeah, I mean, I know everyone's talking about how there's no Cinderellas and is this the end of Cinderella? I'm not sure that's true for the long term. I think these are the 4 best teams in the field. I think it shows the committee did a great job seeding the teams. I personally had Duke beating Florida in my bracket. I did a bracket with my high school buddies. I have Duke over Florida. I'm sticking with that. But I honestly think any one of these 4 teams could win 2 games. I mean, they're all excellent teams, and I expect 2 great games on Saturday.
Adam, do you have any opinion about the coaches in this Final Four? Does anybody have just the slightest advantage?
Well, I'm just going to throw out, I know you didn't ask me about this, but 3 of the 4 coaches are Jewish, which I think is noteworthy. And,
yes.
It's an accomplishment for my people, as we say. I mean, it's a range of coaches, right? I mean, John Shire is only in his, 3rd year, I think, since replacing Coach K. And he's got
right.
What's that?
I think it might be even the 2nd.
I think it's his 3rd, but anyway, he's got a chance to win a national championship here, and if he goes on to win, it'll really be an impressive story, right? Because he's succeeding Coach K, one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he would do it in a short period of time. Obviously, he's got what I think the best player in the country in Cooper Flagg. So he's the youngest of the 4 coaches, and
yes.
the least, the one with the least experience.
That's amazing.
This is his 3rd season at Duke. Kelvin Sampson and Bruce Pearl, obviously both Hall of Fame level coaches who've been around for a long time. I believe this is Bruce Pearl's second Final Four, if I'm not mistaken.
2019, I believe, Adam.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Kelvin Sampson's been to he was in a Final Four a few years ago, and he's been to a few Elite Eights. So these are guys that, unlike John Shire, have put in their time and paid their dues, and they're looking to win a championship. And Todd Golden is, also sort of a new kid on the block. Let's face it, he dealt with a little scandal early in the season with some issues on campus that he seems to have survived and escaped. But, he, like John Shire, has a chance to win his first national championship and the first for Florida since Billy Donovan won back-to-back championships. So, there's a lot at stake for the individual coaches and for the universities, obviously.
Adam, we're going to look at this Auburn-Florida game. Our show primarily is about the Southeastern Conference, and they have two teams, which this is the zenith that I've seen with the SEC in basketball. Usually it's on the women's side, but now the men have caught up and maybe even surpassed the women, which I never thought I would see that in my lifetime, but that happened. But what does Auburn have to do to beat Florida? And we'll just let the audience know the first game was at Auburn. Florida upset them 90-81.
I mean, I think, first of all, the obvious question is what is the health status of Johni Broome? He was pretty scary there the other day, right? He went out. It wasn't clear if it was his elbow or he appeared to kind of hyperextend his leg there. And it looked like he told Bruce Pearl, I'm done. And I actually had the guys on my website get up a post really quick saying Johni Broome leaves Auburn game with injury. And then before you could get up off the couch to get a cold drink, he was back in the game. So, it showed some real fortitude and perseverance by Johni Broome. And, it seems like he's okay. You don't want to see anyone injured at this time of year. I think it's just going to be a, really interesting game. I mean, Florida is such an offensive juggernaut. I think they scored 285 points in 3 games in the SEC tournament in the 3 games they won there. And, they're I know people are talking about how they're kind of like Connecticut last year. Seth Greenberg has called them a Noah's Ark because they have 2 of everything, 2 bigs. Walter Clayton is as dangerous a guard as there is in college basketball. He's drawing comparisons to a college version of Steph Curry. And then, Auburn's got Johni Broome, one of the 2 best players in the country. The guards, we got Tahad Pettiford, is a New Jersey guy from up near me in Jersey City, and I live in Manhattan. Chad Baker-Mazara, kind of a wild card. I think Bruce said something like, he's crazy and he's mine. That was he was asked to, what comes to mind when you think of Chad Baker-Mazara? He said, he's crazy and he's mine. So, it's kind of like I was at Auburn and Duke over the weekend, and Alabama Duke, and Alabama put up 113 points on BYU, and you're like, man, somebody's gonna have to slow these guys down on the defensive end, which Duke was able to do. They held them to 65, and Auburn's gonna have to get after it defensively on Florida. You can't, if the game is played in the 80s, 90s, 100s, I don't think that's good for Auburn. If Auburn can keep it in the 60s, 70s, that's better for them, I think.
That's the better equation for them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
What you might have mentioned this, but what is the X factor for Auburn?
I mean, I think Johni Broome's health is, if he's 90% healthy, I mean, he's a real monster. He had 25 and 12 in that game or something. If he is somehow compromised or re-injures it or something, that could change the course of the game.
Let's look at Florida for a moment. Walter Clayton Jr., he hits about every clutch shot. I don't know how he escaped Rick Pitino, but I guess he went back to his home state of Florida and played for the Gators, and he certainly made the right decision. What is the X factor for Florida?
Yeah, Walter Clayton, like you said, he was at Iona up here in New Rochelle, New York. Rick Pitino wanted him to come to St. John's and join him at St. John's, but he decided to go home to Florida, and he's just, I think exceeded all expectations there. He's a, All-American. I think the bigs for Florida, Thomas Howe and Condon are, kind of a two-headed monster, kind of like what UConn had last year with Donovan Clingan and Samson Johnson. And, it's just so much size in the paint, and they can step out and shoot it a little bit. So, Auburn's bigs are going to have to, somehow slow those guys down and not allow them to combine for 35, 40 points and 18 rebounds.
We have about a minute and a half with Adam Zagoria of NJ.com, and you also have the blog as well, Adam. Just in about a minute, what's something that you watched with Todd Golden that people should know about him when he coaches? One thing.
I don't really have anything too big, just that, he's obviously, shooting to keep the legacy of what Florida did under Billy Donovan intact.
Yeah.
I mean, if Florida can win another championship, whatever that would be, almost 20 years after Billy Donovan, that'd be a huge achievement for him and the university. Now, I will say for both Auburn and Florida, obviously only one of them is going to get to the final. I think it will be a failure for the SEC if they do not win a championship here. They put 14 teams in the tournament. They put 7 in the Sweet 16. Obviously, They get two in the Final Four. But, so one of them is going to be in the final. But I think it'll kind of be a failure if they don't cut down the nets.
Well, okay. I'm not sure if I feel that strongly. Maybe when we come back, Adam, we can have a little conversation between you and I. What's success, what's failure with the SEC. But we're going to be back after these messages with Adam Zagoria, NJ.com, and he has his blog as well. We'll be back after these messages with AP as we see it.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greer's.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
And we're back with AP as we sit, and we have a very special guest. He's sitting by the pool. I'm in a hotel room, so that tells you who's the winner in this interview. Adam Zagoria for NJ.com, that's NewJersey.com, NJ.com, and he has this blog as well. Adam, any place else people can find you? I know you're an award-winning journalist. You're a basketball aficionado.
Yeah, I would thank you for that. I would just say go to Twitter at Adam Zagoria. I'm also on Blue Sky now at Adam Zagoria, so people can check out all my stuff there.
Okay, we were talking about the Auburn and Florida game. We're just going to continue with Florida a little bit more. Florida, I think, as you said, I picked them to win it because overall I think they just had the most versatile team. They could play fast, play slow, big, small, and you had them playing against Duke in the final. Anything else we need to know about Florida?
I mean, I just think it's kind of interesting, a little bit with the transfer portal that they have, Elijah Martin, who used to play for FAU, right? I think there were several guys from FAU's Final Four team a couple years ago, playing on different teams in the tournament. So it just goes to show you the value of, older, experienced guards who've been through the portal. And this is a guy who's already been in a Final Four, so he's got that experience. Ruben Chinyelu, I think, has played great for them. Really come on strong of late. Like we said, it's kind of like Noah's Ark. They got two of everything, and they have a closer in Walter Clayton. When you need a big shot, a big bucket, game's on the line, you can go to him.
And he can have the ball in his hand. He doesn't need to pass it to have it passed to him. But as a guard forward, sometimes you have trouble getting that person the ball in the center as well. So if you have a guard who can make that play, I think that's a real positive. That's extra special. Adam, we're going to look at this Houston-Duke game. Calvin Sampson, you know his teams will guard you at the water fountain. But this year they have the shooters. I guess 3 shooters shooting 40% at the three-point line. So can they beat Duke, and how does that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I picked Duke to win it. I think they have the best player in Cooper Flagg, and I'm not going to change my pick now. I think Duke is just, aside from Cooper, very deep. Kaman Malarach at the rim, 7'2" shot blocker, is just, a force to be reckoned with, and he's going to alter and block a lot of shots. Con Knippel played great for them against Alabama. Tyrese Proctor's had some big games. I think you have to give Jon Scheyer credit in this. The narrative, one of the narratives in college hoops now is that it's tough to win with freshmen. You look at Rutgers up here by us, they had 2 lottery picks, didn't even make the tournament because the rest of their team around Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper just wasn't good enough. They transferred in. You look at the schools they transferred in from, they just weren't talented enough. Jon Scheyer at Duke has built a roster with, several older experienced guys like, Sion James, Malik Brown around the freshmen. And so he's really got an excellent formula for winning there. And they're playing great defense. I mean, everyone talks about Cooper and the offense, but again, they held Auburn to 65 points. In terms of,
they cut the score in half.
I keep saying Auburn. Yeah, Alabama. Yeah.
You get the Auburn folks mad down here, Adam. You got to be careful.
Yeah, they held Alabama to 65. And as far as Houston, I was just really impressed with the defense they played against Tennessee. I watched it on television because I was in New York. Every time a Tennessee player got the ball, you immediately saw a white Houston shirt in the screen, guarding them, harassing them, blocking shots, altering shots. So they're going to play ferocious defense themselves. And you're right, they got a bunch of guys now who can shoot it. Emmanuel Sharp, I think, had some big shots against Tennessee. Milos Uzan had the huge, game-winning shot at the end. Terrence Arsenault. They have, seems like every year Houston's got a bunch of interchangeable, 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" guards and wings. And I think everybody knows Kelvin Sampson's one of the best coaches in the game.
Adam, I want to go back to the SEC for a moment. I kept telling people throughout the year for the SEC to be winning all these games in the non-conference. That's what brought the light on them as far as having the best conference, I guess, this year, historical moment for them. And then having the 14 teams. I said a minimum 4 to 5 teams in the Sweet 16, minimum 1 to the Final Four, hopefully 2. They accomplished that, and of course they're playing each other, so there's 1 in the championship game. So I would give the SEC an A, not the A+, unless they win the championship. But I think I'd give them an A for all the things that they accomplished. This is the height of success for men's basketball in the Southeastern Conference. Win, lose, or draw, you reach the championship game. That is the goal of every coach in America, to have that chance.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think that it's been widely discussed that in the last 5 years or whatever, the SEC has invested a lot in resources, and obviously the NIL is huge, and they've made a conscious decision to improve their basketball programs in obviously a football dominant league. And you got some of the best coaches in America. Bruce Pearl, Nate Oates, Todd Golden, John Calipari. A lot of Buzz Williams just left, but a lot of great coaches. And you're right, it is a tremendous year. That said, the league hasn't won a championship since 2012 when Kentucky won, and it's kind of like the Big Ten. The past several years, people have been saying the Big Ten, best league in the country. Purdue got to the final last year, of course, but the bottom line is who wins and who's got the rings. And the Big Ten now hasn't won a championship in a quarter of a century since, Bill Clinton was in the White House, and, the Flintstones with Michigan State and Tom Izzo won. And, the SEC's had, you put 14 teams in the tournament. I think that's about 20% of the field. So they're going to have somebody in the final. That's great. But if they don't win, it'll be like, okay, the SEC still hasn't won since 2012. That's how I see it.
I hear you. Adam, is there a good fit for Texas A&M? Do you have a few candidates you would like to recommend or see giving strong consideration Texas A&M?
I've been so caught up in the Kevin Willard and Buzz Williams stuff that I honestly haven't focused on it. I saw Chris Beard, the Ole Miss coach, took a photo today. They posted a photo with him and the athletic director. So I know he'd been kind of linked to it, but he's going to, it seems like, stay at Ole Miss. What do you think for A&M?
Right, yeah, we're in a world where the Kentucky coach becomes the Louisville coach and the Texas coach becomes the Texas A&M coach. This is the world we live in, Adam.
But who do you like for the job?
Oh, Chris Beard, he's a good basketball coach. If you can, they have to behave like the players, right? You have to behave and take care of yourself and off the court issues and things like that. But I don't know, he seems to have resurrected himself. It's just a question of each administration, they have to make that decision. And sometimes if you're a program removed, then things are healed or they're overlooked.
Yeah, I 100% agree on that. I mean, Chris Beard, seems to have – everyone knows he's a great coach. He was linked to the Indiana job. But I just think the timing now, the portal's been open for over a week now, like 10 days. So, it's actually one question I want to ask these coaches here this week, including Bruce and Todd, playing this late into the season, right? Because the portal's been open. I mean, I assume they have, their GMs or assistants working on the portal, but in some ways it's almost an advantage in terms of the portal to lose early in March Madness, because then you can get to the portal and recruit players right away. These teams are focusing on their opponent, trying to win a championship, and can't completely focus on the portal.
Yeah, Adam, the application of any rule, and I know it's chaos, but whoever does it the best sustains the program and flourishes. And there's a lot of issues. My thing, Adam, all the time is they bring up these complaints. It's too late. You should have looked at it when they were legislating this with each program. With the NCAA. To talk about it now, it's way too late. But I agree with you. It's very difficult, but they'll manage it because they're successful people. They've been around many years, and they've navigated through all these NCAA rules and recruiting situations early. The transfer portal. About the last minute left, Adam. What about the transfer portal? What do you like to tell people about basketball? Because that seems like really fluid.
Yeah, I just think that the current situation is not sustainable. I think things will probably look dramatically different in 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. How they're going to look different, I don't know. But this situation where everyone is a free agent and it's where the NIL payments are operating in a gray area where we don't, coaches don't really know what players are getting paid at another school, what their claim they're being paid.
Right.
I don't think it's sustainable. I think they're going to have, a lot of people saying just make them, let the players collectively bargain, make them, treat them like professionals, give them contracts, let them collectively bargain, because right now it's sort of this gray area between free agency, like an AAU situation where guys can just change teams overnight and, and they're getting paid, who knows what, versus standardizing it with contracts and,
the transparency,
making
no
things
transparency.
more uniform. I mean, right, I don't see how coaches, in the old days, the Final Four would end, coaches would go play golf and get a break, and then they'd you go on vacation, and they show up at Peach Jam and the July recruiting camps, recruiting. They get a little break. Now there's no break. The portal opened during the tournament, and coaches have to work nonstop in the portal, and the kids. It's good for the players because they're free agents, and I don't think the players should be criticized for a lack of loyalty when you've got coaches like Kevin Willard and Buzz Williams and Will Wade, leaving their team the day after their team loses in the tournament. It's obvious they and their representatives were negotiating and talking with the schools while they're playing. So I just think things are going to change, and we don't know how.
No. Hey, Adam Zagoria, thank you so much. NJ.com, Zags blog, basketball aficionado. We'll be right back after these messages with AP as we see it. Thank you so much, Adam.
Hi, I'm AP Stedham for Greer's Markets. If you're planning a big party or for every day, shop at Greer's for delicious food, beverages, and snacks. Save time and money by checking on Greers.com and use Groceries to Go to get your Greer's groceries delivered. Look at the weekly ad for more information. 29 locations in Alabama, Florida, and Mississippi, serving the region since 1916. Remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it.
And we're back with AP as we see it, and we'd like to thank our guest, Adam Zagora of NJ.com, Zags blogs. He's a great guest. He knows basketball. He's located on the East Coast, and that's a big sport on that part of the country. We want to thank him for his analysis of the Final Four. We want to mention our sponsors again. Greer's Markets, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi. They have Lucy's Recipe. She has a book out now, and you can buy that in the store or at Amazon or other places as well. They have the coloring contest each month for the children. You have the Groceries to Go, Family Friends in football, Family Friends in March Madness with the men's and women's basketball. They will deliver to your home, your office, any venue. They'll deliver to your vehicle outside the store, I believe, as well. And like they say, 29 locations, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi. And remember, Greer's got it. They guarantee it. We'd also like to mention the Cortland Grand Hotel, Atlanta, Georgia, right in the downtown heart of the city, near all the attractions. They have the beautiful indoor pool with the vegetation around. You feel like you're outside. It's a great atmosphere. There's ambiance as well. They have spacious rooms, walk-in showers. I love the walk-in showers. And the hospitality is second to none. You have the buffet breakfast. On the weekends, they'll cook to order, and that's always delicious. And the people are tremendous, the staff. Once they know you, they'll know your tendencies. And when you show up, they'll bring you your chocolate milk, in my case, before I even sit down. They have it at my table. So the people are great. The staff of Ben Giacomo and the staff do an outstanding job at the Cortland Grand Hotel in Atlanta. I stayed there many, many times, and they treat you like family. So our two sponsors, Greer's Markets, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, 29 locations, and the Cortland Grand Hotel, downtown Atlanta, right in the heart of the city, next to all the attractions. So we want to just get back to the Final Four. We had a great guest, Adam Zagora, and went over the four teams and what he thought. Like I said, I thought Florida the best team in the country, but Duke with Cooper Flagg, he is the triple X factor. He can score, he can defend, he can pass. He makes his team better, and he can shoot the basketball, which is so important. And he's tall, difficult to defend. But I think it's going to be a great Final Four, and I'm looking forward to this. My first time in San Antonio, and we'll be having a lot of interviews that you can check on our YouTube channel as you're watching this show on our YouTube channel, AP As We See It, and you can also check my personal at AP Stedham as well. But our interviews will have plenty of them because the NCAA at this event gives you tremendous access. We have the podium where the coach will be there with maybe a player or two, but they also have the individual players behind each set of curtains. They have their own room. So that's what makes it so unique to cover this event. I really enjoy it year in and year out, being here, seeing all the people from across the country, learning more about the game of basketball. We'll also have the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. They'll make those announcements and give us a chance to interview some of the inductees. Usually it's anywhere from 7 to 10 of the inductees. So that's a lot of fun to see them. And they're from the women's game, they're from the international game, they're coaches, they're the contributors, they're former college players, former pro players. It's really a great time. I think that's Saturday afternoon. Actually, we'll have those interviews as well. You can watch on our YouTube channel. I wanted to mention one other thing about the Final Four. If you ever have a chance, just some suggestions for you. Make your reservations way in advance with the hotels, because they really change the price once it approaches the event. So if you can make it way in advance, you still have that opportunity to cancel them if you can't make it for some reason. But make those reservations, hotel reservations, your airline reservations, or your transportation reservations. Make that in advance if you can, because it makes it much easier for you when you're trying to finance the whole trip with your family. It'll work out for you if you do that way in advance. Another topic I wanted to discuss is the women's Final Four. We have two teams in the SEC. In the women's Final Four, Texas and South Carolina. They're old rivals at this point. Texas is new to the conference. They made the Final Four with Vic Schaefer. He's been to Final Fours with Mississippi State teams through the years. And Dawn Staley, we know she's won multiple national championships. So that will be in Tampa. So look forward to those games. You have also Connecticut on the other side with number one seed overall, UCLA. I think UCLA is kind of new to this event in the modern era of women's basketball. So you have Texas has won a championship way back in 1986, and South Carolina has won multiple championships recently. Of course, Connecticut, I think they've won 11 at this point. But the women's game is very exciting. It improves every year. And if you get a chance, make sure you watch it. Two SEC teams. So on the men's and women's side, two teams from the men, two teams from the women. This is the best year in basketball for the SEC. I've said it multiple times. I don't think you could say it enough, because I try to impress upon people that I remember when the SEC was having three teams in the men's tournament. Now you have 14, and the women had, I think, 6 this year. They've always been very, very strong for decades upon decades. But to have them both succeed, you could have an SEC champion on the women's side and the men's side. So that would be something that the SEC would let you know about down the road. I can tell you that. But another topic I wanted to bring up is about eliminating college sports. With the advent of the NIL, the transfer portal, they're paying all the players now. Hearing some athletic directors whisper they might be adding more scholarships possibly, but they might be eliminating some sports. And what I don't quite understand is, how could all this money be flowing? And you've held on to all these sports through the years. Usually it's around 20, 21. Some schools, Stanford, for instance, I think it's in the 30s, actually. They support 30-something teams. But all of a sudden now the money is flowing. You have 4 and 5 assistant coaches on a football team making $1 million. The head coach is making double figures. The basketball coaches, men, are making the 5 to 6, 7, 8 million. The women's coaches are making in the millions. And now you're going to have a reversal where you're limiting sports. I just don't understand. Somebody's going to have to explain that to me. And other schools are talking about adding scholarships because of this House decision, where the billions of dollars is going to be just divided up, where you have more revenue. So you're getting more revenue, you're adding scholarships, but you're going to eliminate sports. I don't understand. I mean, that's been the way of the world since Title IX. The two sports that generate funds, men's football, most of the time, not all the time, and men's basketball. And there have been successful women's teams that contribute to the bottom line. People always say women's sports, they don't make any money, or certain sports don't make money. Maybe the baseball team, let's say, for instance, men's baseball. But you can contribute to the bottom line. So it's in your interest to have a good team. Men's baseball, women's softball, gymnastics, volleyball, anything that can contribute to the bottom line. It's still in your interest to have a good coach, recruit excellent players, and challenge for championship. But this idea where you're going to eliminate sports With all this money flowing, administrators are making millions of dollars, but you're telling the student athletes, well, we can't afford your sport. But we have NIL, we're paying players with collectives and other means. We have the transfer portal, we have the name, image, and likeness. All this revenue is flowing, but we're eliminating sports. The math does not add up. And I love to, I'm going to try to sit down with some athletic director and explain this to me, how you can be adding scholarships. Now, I don't mean 10 scholarships either. I mean 100 scholarships. I mean 200 scholarships with this new settlement, the House settlement that'll be happening shortly here for all the power conferences and other conferences. But I don't understand how you're going to tell these athletes that trained their whole life, they're on your campus, you have these teams, you're going to cut the program, no more coach, no more players, no more student athletes from that particular sport. Maybe the Olympic sports, probably those are the ones that will be cut. These power schools, there's always money. They always claim they don't have any money. You can't pay administrators millions of dollars. You can't pay coaches millions of dollars. I know they have the booster clubs, which are separate, the associations, which are separate, but the administrators, you're being paid millions of dollars, and you're saying to the student athlete, we can't find enough money to continue supporting your program. I don't accept it at this moment, but somebody's going to have to explain it to me. They know the numbers, but I think it's just, and I'll say this, I think it's kind of tragic that America's youth, they train their whole life, and they're on a campus with a scholarship, and next thing you know, the athletic director is telling them, we can no longer use your services, and this is the end of the program. But anyway, we're here in San Antonio, Texas, for the men's Division I Final Four. So we look forward to all the reports, which will be on our YouTube channel, AP As We See It. And we hope you enjoyed the show. And thank you for tuning in, and subscribe to our YouTube channel or our social media platforms as well. And we'll be back next week with AP As We See It.